Alrighty, well, good morning, or hope you're having a good night at this hour. Obviously, we've been talking about our weather impact alert that we do have in place, and that is coming to fruition as you hear it here in real time. So there goes our beeper for yet another severe thunderstorm warning. And right now it's still mainly our western edge. We have these 3 yellow boxes that are creeping in from the state line of Alabama. So you're going to start to see, number one, that the heaviest rain band, this very dark red that you are seeing, it's almost virtually a straight line from just between Columbus and Ellaville all the way up towards Peachtree City, getting into the metro Atlanta area. And then as we continue to watch this line push farther over to the east, number one, trending about the same timing as Future View had it as of the last couple of days. We were thinking around that 2 a.m. hour was going to be the sweet spot that our western counties would really start to see some of the heavier rain and start to feel some of those gustier winds. That looks like it's coming to fruition. So let's go ahead and break down our 3 severe thunderstorm warnings, starting out with the most recent that we did just receive. I have to drag the box somewhere where it will include everything. So number one, these severe thunderstorm boxes are rather large. They're covering a good amount of counties, but here in central Georgia are the main ones we'll focus on. I'll focus on this one that just got issued. It's going to go for about the next 49 to 50 minutes until 3 a.m. And here in central Georgia, it's starting to encompass areas up there like Pike County over into Lamar County. Also, it looks like if we stretch it down a little bit, this northern half of Upson County right here just to the north of Thomaston. But also Thomaston is in 3 separate severe thunderstorm warnings. So we'll be able to see another yellow box clip this very western edge of Upson County. And then this box just to the south does encompass the town of Thomaston. So that warning up at the top going until 3 a.m. If we take it down to the south, that one that does encompass Thomaston, 2:45 until that warning does end, and it covers areas further over to the west like Chattahoochee County, Meriwether County, Stewart County, but also starts to creep into the western edge of Taylor County right there. So that's where the severe thunderstorm warnings do stand as of right now. However, you will notice that we're actually getting a good amount of showers that aren't as heavy as that initial band that we were really looking at. Typically when these fronts move through, you see this dark red color. That's kind of the leading edge associated with these fronts, but we're seeing some showers spread out ahead of that line. So some of those are stretching all the way across Upson County over into Monroe County, the northern half of Crawford County, and then getting up I-75 going up into Butts County around Griffin and Jackson. And then down to our southwest, we're starting to see a little bit of light showers creep in to Taylor County, down here into Macon County, around the Ellaville area and Sly County, and eventually will continue its eastward push. Now, I want to go ahead and preface, if we take away all of these boxes and really just kind of pause the radar, let's take away that. Let us take away the warning boxes and the watch boxes, and let's go ahead and pause this in real time. So I'm going to go and kind of draw some arrows on here. Let's see here. Where's my arrow? Arrow. See if this will work. Okay. So the front, obviously, the general direction of it moving west to east. But this is not the direction solely that these storms are moving in. This is just the general direction of the actual frontal boundary. The storms actually are having definitely a more northern, northeasterly component. So this is the direction that these storms are really moving through within this line, but the general direction of this entire system as a whole is moving from west to east. So typically, a lot of the stuff that we see down to the southwest, that's what we're going to be keeping a close eye on, because that's going to be creeping into central Georgia next as this frontal boundary continues to shift towards the east. So that is just kind of giving you a synopsis about what is all going on associated with this. Let's bring back everything that I just took away on the satellite and radar, and then let's erase all of those arrows I just drew. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and take away the radar once again and just give you an idea. We'll keep the lightning just so we can take a look at what's exactly going on. But this is kind of coming to fruition with a lot of what we were really thinking. We had that level 2 that was extended into our southwestern counties as of yesterday, the rest of central Georgia in a level 1, and then our far southeastern counties like Wheeler County, Telfair County, Montgomery, getting into Treutlen County. Those areas were in a level 2 for today's outlook. So a continuous line of severe thunderstorms stretching all the way from North Georgia, north of the metro Atlanta area, all the way down to the Florida Panhandle. And we're going to continue to see if this does hold shape. The trend has been, obviously, yesterday morning, yesterday afternoon, we were showing you everything that was happening to the west over in Texas and Oklahoma. Lots of severe thunderstorm warnings, tornado watches, tornado warnings. Well, Ben and I were talking when we did a handoff just about an hour ago. Last tornado warning we have spotted was way back in Mississippi. So we did see that level 3 extended all the way down into southern Alabama and the Florida Panhandle. Still haven't seen any rotation indicated in those areas that are outlined in a higher risk area. But nonetheless, we will continue to keep a close eye on that. And just saying that go ahead and reminds me, if we can go ahead and zoom in right here. So we're looking at our base velocity tool right here. Obviously, you're seeing a drastic gradient of colors indicating that we have some very gusty winds already ahead of this frontal boundary. That was the case. They built in all the way later on yesterday afternoon, and those were what we call gradient winds. Winds move from high pressure to low pressure, and we had those centers of pressure very close together, and that's what created some gusty winds already before these thunderstorms even started to arrive. And they have done some damage. We've seen reports yesterday in the National Weather Service chat, more so up in North Georgia, of already trees and power lines getting down from just those initial winds. But obviously, once this front does trek through, we're going to see a drastic shift in those winds. They've been coming in from the south, the southeast, the southwest. Well, once the front passes through, they will get a more westerly component, and that's what we'll be dealing with after these storms do move out later on this morning. So right now, we don't see any what we like to call kinks in the line. So think about it like a hose. You kind of get it tangled up and it gets a kink in it, and then it stops all the water pressure. Well, that's really what we're looking out for with this continuous and kind of straight line right now ahead of this frontal boundary. So the main threat we've been talking about are the gusty winds, the straight line winds ahead of this that can get up to 60 or 70 miles an hour within a severe thunderstorm warning. And if we are to get a kink, that's going to be indicating that wind direction is taking over in one way as opposed to the other. So think about it kind of like you have a cylinder, maybe even like a roll of toilet paper just right here on this line. This isn't what is happening right now, but a good explanation what we will be looking for in terms of rotation. So you have this roll of toilet paper. Winds in one color, this blue, are going to be indicating that the winds are moving in one direction, and then the winds in the green are going to be moving in the opposite direction. So just for the lesson's sake, think about the blue just moving over here to the left side of your screen. So the exact direction that my arm's going, and think about these green winds coming towards me, over towards the right of your screen. Well, if you were to have that roll of toilet paper right there and you have that motion right there, it causes that roll of toilet paper to spin, and that's indicating rotation in real time, and obviously that would have implications of a tornado warning storm or such. But once again, not seeing that whatsoever as it does stand right now. So that is good news, and also it is very promising that we haven't seen anything in the way of tornado warnings since a couple states back. But obviously, never want to call it quits before it actually happens, so we'll continue to keep a very close eye on that. But right now, the immediate concern is the severe thunderstorm warning. So where this heaviest band of rain is, not quite making it into central Georgia yet, and you'll see that it's paused right now, but we'll get these real-time updates every minute or so. And once that heaviest band of rain moves in, that's where your gustiest winds are. So the severe thunderstorm warning that they did just issue that encompassed Taylor County right here, this yellow box that is clipping mainly west of Butler right there, west of Butler, west of Reynolds, kind of making your way towards Columbus. It says max wind gust that has been reported is about 60 miles an hour right now. So once you get 60-mile-an-hour winds, that's where you cross the threshold into a severe thunderstorm warning as opposed to just a strong thunderstorm. So we're obviously, each warning that does get issued, they'll be able to indicate that with the radar, and we'll continue to keep you updated on that. So let's go a little more hyperlocal areas in Taylor County and Upson County. So around the Rupert area, starting to see the rain get steadier and heavier. Still looking out for these dark red and these pink colors. That's going to be your pockets of heaviest rain, your pockets of gustiest winds. Looks like it's making its way over into Junction City, and then eventually after Junction City, it will be crossing the county line into Taylor County. And what's to follow in that direction will be Butler and then Reynolds right there in central Taylor County and eastern Taylor County. Getting on up into Upson County. That's a fun play on words I just realized right there. So the yellow colors, once again, steadier rainfall than the green, and then you take it a step up from the yellow when you start to mix in some oranges and then some dark reds. The west end of Upson County is definitely seeing its fair share of heavier rainfall, not as heavy as what we just talked about down there, getting to those pink colors, but right now it's mainly located to the northwest of Thomaston, and then other areas in Upson County that we're seeing. The Rock, Yatesville, that's more northern Upson County, eastern Upson County. Still a little bit to go. Thomaston will see the heavier rain before we do get there. And something we always like to look at with these severe thunderstorm warnings is the lightning. The lightning, when it starts to clump together and it gets more frequent, you start to see those lightning flashes pop up every couple of seconds. That's definitely indicating a lot heavier rainfall, a lot stronger of a thunderstorm. And the lightning is very scattered associated with this. If I do take away the sweeping radar, you're able to see all of these lightning strikes a lot better. Pretty scattered out. We're used to seeing maybe with the severe thunderstorm in the summertime or even a bigger severe weather threat that we can see a bunch of these lightning strikes cluster together. So to the east of Talbotton, you see these 3 lightning strikes right here. Typically in this area, if we were to have a really strong severe thunderstorm, we'd see maybe up to about 20 to 30 lightning strikes just clumped together in that one area. That's something that we'll continue to keep posted on, but it does look very promising right now in terms of that not really indicating strengthening, I guess you could say, with this severe thunderstorm line. Now, I did wake up and come in and check the National Weather Service chat, so I want to keep you guys updated with what they're thinking and what their thought process is. And right now, we do have a severe thunderstorm watch in place for some counties here in central Georgia. Now, the last time I checked this graphic, it wasn't updated exactly, and it does look like they have updated it now. And this graphic normally takes a little bit longer to update, but you can see these yellow shaded counties. It was further to the west, but we've seen this extended as of maybe about 20 to 30 minutes ago. Counties like Upson County, up into Lamar County, Lamar County, excuse me, Monroe County, Crawford, Peach, Macon County, and Taylor County. So those counties, a lot more confidence that those severe thunderstorms will continue to roll through them, which is already coming to fruition with the real-time warnings that we do see. But not seeing much above 40 miles an hour in terms of the winds. Obviously, we did see that radar indicated wind gusts. So the sustained winds may be around 40 miles an hour. That occasional gust can get up to 60 miles an hour. We'll keep assessing, but we may bump things down to special weather statement levels with the current round of warnings. We're seeing indications of the line not looking quite as impressive. So that's not set in stone, a good sign that the confidence is not as high as for this line to continue to hold together as it pushes farther eastward into central Georgia. And we'll continue to keep a close eye on any new warnings that are issued. So this is kind of the beginning of everything that we have been talking about. And what we have seen, this obviously being an overnight threat, and many of you are fast asleep. You might get woken up by a rumble of thunder, some of that heavy rain or the gusty winds really pelting the rain against your window. Obviously, just come right here. We'll have you covered with everything that you need to have. But it has been a little bit fortunate that this is an overnight threat. So if we take a look at the SPC, the day one outlook now, so you'll notice that I combined both of them yesterday. I combined the day one and the day two because we're seeing that discrepancy since we're kind of in between days associated with these severe weather risks. So the day one now as it stands is what was the day two as of yesterday. So number one, what I'm noticing, there's a ladybug up here on the green screen now that I look up, but you can see this yellow shaded area. It encompassed a good amount of our southeastern corner as of 2 days ago. Most of Telfair County, all of Wheeler County, parts of Dodge, Lawrence, up into parts of Johnson, and most of Treutlen County and all of Montgomery County. Well, now we're simply just seeing that this yellow shade barely clips the southeastern edge of Montgomery County, still encompasses most of Toombs County if any of you are watching from Vidalia. But these areas are in this green shade right here. So that is Wrightsville, even getting into Dublin, Soperton, McRae, Alamo down in Wheeler County, around the downtown Eastman corridor, maybe clipping Abbeville over in Wilcox County, and then just to the east of Sandersville up here in Washington County. So it does look like the confidence is decreasing a lot. However, you will notice if I do zoom this back out, many areas farther over to the east, the northeast, not as fortunate because this system will be rolling through as the sun is continuing to rise and that temperature is continuing to warm. So with our threat really being an overnight threat, that is obviously making the temperatures a little bit cooler. We don't have as conducive of an environment as we would during the daytime, those peak heating hours around 4 or 5 o'clock. So areas over to the east, like I said, they have a greater risk of that because that front is going to tap into any instability and surface heat that those areas do have, which we don't really have a lot present right now. So that is where the storm outlook does currently stand. Once again, still treating all of central Georgia like this green shade extends all the way over to the west, all the way to the north, all the way down to the south. And think of it like the outlook that I did show you that was combined over the last 2 days, because it's just running into a really in-between period associated with these SPC outlooks. We had the day one yesterday that was on Tuesday, the day two that was for Wednesday, and obviously with this continuing past the midnight hour in between into the overnight hours, that's why we're not really seeing just a set forecast in terms of the outlook for all of central Georgia. The potential threats have remained the same throughout the entirety of this. So ever since I came in Monday, started forecasting for this, the main potential threat that we're looking out for are these gusty winds. And they're looking to be in the form of straight line winds that we were just talking about. And some of those gusty winds can get up to about 60, even 70 miles an hour. However, the National Weather Service has indicated that we're not quite seeing winds at that threshold just yet. That is going to be good news. Strong storms to severe storms, so obviously going a little bit higher than strong storms. We've hit the severe criteria with the warnings that we have received so far, and still keeping an eye out for a brief or spin-up tornado, but confidence has not been very high on that all week long. Again, not saying that it can't happen. We'll continue to look out for it, but that is coming to fruition as well. So let's go back to our satellite and radar, take a look and see if we do see anything in the way of any new warnings. And I will say, just due to the general direction of this, having that kind of northeasterly component, these warning boxes are not very wide. However, they are very tall, giving you an idea of how far from kind of south to north that these storms are moving. However, they don't extend very far eastward, even though this is a pretty fast moving system. So we'll actually, now that gives me an idea, if I go back to the severe thunderstorm warning, we'll actually be able to get a good indication of how fast certain severe thunderstorms are moving. Okay, So not the fastest that I have seen. Let's go to, which one is this? This is Rockdale, DeKalb. Okay, so this is going to be the one they just issued to the north. So if I pause this right there at the end, this is going to be your real time. This motion that you see goes back about, maybe, how far does it go back? The last 3 hours. So it shows that motion over the last 3 hours. That's why you'll see it start out way over to the left of your screen and move all the way over to the right where it is in current time, which is this current image that you do see. Let's see if I can get this, and we'll draw it on the leading edge of this heaviest band of rain, because that's really what we're most concerned with. So I drag that, and then this motion is, oh, that's way too fast. So we go east at 25 miles an hour. Right there, and that can give you a good indication of which areas are going to see this. And we'll go down and do this with the other warning in just a second. But mainly to the north of us, encompassing areas like Stockbridge, up in Griffin and Spalding County. But the Rock up in northern, northeastern Upson County around 245. McDonough around 250, 253. 305 up at High Falls, up there in northern Monroe County, getting into Butts and Jasper right there. We're right off I-75. Jenkinsburg and 310. 317 and Jackson, and then 322 making its way into downtown Forsyth over in Monroe County. Once again, that's not going to be the start of the rain. That's when that heaviest band of rain is going to move through those certain areas. So let's erase that, and let's go and do the same thing down to our severe thunderstorm. I forgot to click out of this. For our severe thunderstorm warning down here. So there's definitely a lot darker colors that I'm seeing associated, embedded within this heaviest band of rain. So we will do the same thing. Where's my squall line? There it is. So yeah, draw it right there. And then let me pull up that warning. I imagine it's probably has more of an easterly component at about 25 miles an hour as well. That is not the right one. I think it was this one. These all get clumped together in the National Weather Service chat, so it becomes a little hard to depict. So this one's actually moving a little bit slower than the previous one, only moving east at 20 miles an hour. So this gives you an idea of areas over in our western corridor that are going to be next hit by that heaviest rain, those gustiest winds, a couple of scattered flashes of lightning. So 233 Center Point, 237 over in Sharing. I do believe I'm saying that right. Correct me if I'm wrong. 245 in Archery, 254 moving into Butler over in Taylor County, 305 in Fickling Mill, 310 in Ideal, that's down in Macon County, and then 320 in Americus and 322 in Arles. Once again, correct me if I'm saying that wrong. Some of these haven't really covered too much out of our viewing area, but still, if anyone's watching from those areas, I want you guys to stay informed. So time now is 2:30. And let's go back and look at the timing of these severe thunderstorm warnings that we do have in place for Central Georgia. So once again, that one that we were just talking about with the heavier band of rain that we're seeing, looks like we are seeing a little bit of weakening. I'm not seeing the very, very dark red colors as of right now. Maybe if I zoom in, I could see something different. This warning that encompasses the western edge of Taylor County, getting into the southern edge of Upson County along the downtown Thomaston corridor. This warning is going to go until 2:45, so we have about another, I believe, 13 minutes on it. In about 5 seconds, it will be 2:32. So we'll continue to see if they choose to extend that, or they continue to see weakening and they start to expire that warning. And then the other warning that we do have, I guess it's better if I drag it down to our central Georgia counties. So areas like Pike County, Lamar County, up in the Spalding, and then the northern edge of Upson County. This warning going until 3 a.m. So this is the one that you heard the beep with right when I came on the stream. So 3 a.m. with this one, about 28 minutes left with this warning. And once again, we'll continue to see if we do indicate that weakening. The National Weather Service says, hey, this storm isn't really holding together. We'll go ahead and expire it and we will be good to go. So right now, the consensus is that this line is continuing to weaken. Like I said, this nighttime risk, there's not as much available energy as there is during the daytime hours. So that's what's leading to the weakening. Very fortunate in that, but obviously many of you fast asleep, and for these severe weather warnings that we are receiving, many of you are not hearing them. If you're a hard sleeper like myself, like I've been telling you the past 2 days, have a way to receive those alerts that will wake you up. I have one myself just in case this line trended a little bit earlier when before my alarm was set to go off. I made sure that I had my ringer on, and I made sure that my phone was right there on my bed, so I felt the vibration at least, and I was able to be woken up. So hopefully just continue to do that and continue to go about your normal night. And many of you will probably get woken up by the gusty winds and the heavy rain that you hear on your window, along with a couple of scattered lightning strikes that will produce some rumbles of thunder. But nonetheless, we are continuing to hopefully watch this weekend, fingers crossed. But we will be with you through the entire thing until we see no severe thunderstorm warnings over central Georgia. Then that's one, or we will continue to stay on the air until that point. All right, let's get a first water break. And I will say the parameters further down to the southwest, like I said, we're going to look at the southwest a good bit because with the general northeasterly track of the storms within this line, those areas will trek into central Georgia next. And you'll also notice this big red box right here that extends all the way down to the Florida Panhandle. This is a tornado watch. We haven't seen one of these issued into central Georgia, which indicates that we don't really have a lot of confidence that tornado conditions are going to be possible within central Georgia. Not to say that it can't happen, but obviously the greater confidence is down to the southwest of us. And you see that they're doing virtually the same thing that we are right now, a continuous line of these severe thunderstorm warnings outlined by all of these yellow polygons that you do see. It goes from Panama City all the way up to the I-10 corridor, into the Lake Seminole, Bainbridge, over into Donaldsonville in southwest Georgia, Cuthbert just to the east of Dothan in southeast Alabama, and it looks like eventually this box will be making its way over into Daugherty County and Albany. And then what's to follow shortly after that, you get into our southwestern corridor, Chris County, around Cordele, Lake Blackshear, and eventually Dooley County. So we'll keep a close eye on that, but it does look like, number one, the thing I am noticing the most with this, if we take away satellite and maybe we're in between radars right there, but there's a lot more lightning down here, so indicating that you have a good amount of heavy pockets of rain, obviously your gusty winds associated with this. These severe thunderstorms are looking a little bit stronger than the ones that we do have present that are rolling through. And number two, let's go back up here, take away the sweeping radar, just see where our lightning stands. Not saying that there isn't any lightning. It's definitely scattered about and illuminating your night sky. However, it's not as clumped together as it is down towards the south and the southwest. Sweeping radar, let's pull that back up. Let me check the National Weather Service chat too. Don't believe we have a few special weather statements that got issued. So this is going to be criteria that's just below a severe thunderstorm warning, still a strong thunderstorm that can pack a punch. And right now this one did just get issued into Macon County, Sly, Monroe, Taylor, Sumter, Marion. Okay, so it looks like all of these counties just over to the east slightly, they have been outlined in a special weather statement. So not quite severe thunderstorm criteria, but still the radar indicated winds are about 50 miles an hour. Those max wind gusts, only about 10 miles an hour shy of what it is to be a severe thunderstorm warning, but still, it is a strong thunderstorm and you'll still want to be inside your home, definitely not venturing out and trying to drive through this whatsoever. So those gusty winds continuing to be the main concern associated with this. But obviously this red patch that you do see is definitely a very heavy band of rain. It's going to be very brief as it does move through, hopefully only about 10 to 20 minutes. However, it is going to make conditions very messy. I would definitely not recommend driving in those conditions. That's the type of rain that really limits your visibility ahead of you, makes it very, very difficult to drive on the roads. Paired up with those gusty winds, it just really makes for a recipe for disaster. So I imagine as we get into the next 9 minutes, that warning is a little bit south of us. This warning right here that is set to expire at 2:45, I imagine that is going to be allowed to run its course because we're still seeing the eastern edge of this polygon right here. Some areas within that polygon are starting to see the heaviest impacts. But what's to follow after that heaviest band of rain does move through your area? You can see that the rain does get a little bit steadier, but it definitely doesn't go away. So we're still looking at pretty substantial rainfall in terms of that. But it is a quick mover, so we're not going to be seeing accumulation of rain or flash flooding concerns. We haven't seen any of those so far. But once we get past that, just back here over into Alabama, these areas like Alexander City, getting over into the Auburn area, that's where the wind's going to start to pick back up. So this front's going to do a little bit of a weird thing. It's been very windy already ahead of time. It will be windy as this moves through. But we'll actually get a little bit of a lull in those winds. The winds won't be as breezy, only some gusts up to about 15 miles an hour. However, that's only going to last about an hour or two because the wraparound winds are going to pick up after that. And those wraparound winds, even throughout the course of today, are still going to be about 40 miles an hour at times. So today is going to be a very windy day. And not only that, that wind will continue all the way into Thursday. It doesn't look like until we get to Thursday evening, Thursday night, it's finally when those winds start to subside a little bit. And then we'll finally end the work week on a good note for Friday. So you do have that to look forward to at least. So right now, actually something I haven't really talked about is our temperatures, and then that's up here by my Skycam graphic. So we'll take a look westbound at the Georgia National Fairgrounds. And number one, take a look at the winds. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So you see they're very gusty, moving at a good clip from south to north. And then right here where they all start to clump together, that's going to be where your frontal boundary is. After that, take a look at the wind speeds. They definitely go down, a little bit of a lull like I was talking about. But what's to follow, the wraparound winds are definitely going to pick up just a couple hours after that lull period that we're talking about. So temperatures, actually a lot warmer than I was originally thinking. I was forecasting, I think, somewhere in the 50s for lows. So temperatures are still into the 60s. This is looking like a summertime temperature map right here as we creep into the first week of March, but still mid 60s, lower 60s farther to the north, 62 in Monticello, 63 up in Eatonton, then getting to 64 in Macon, 66 in Warner Robins. Cordele's temperature has been acting up a little bit lately, but I imagine somewhere around 66, 67 degrees. And then some areas down to the south actually running a little bit cooler as well. 63 in Eastman, 64 in Rochelle, 63 over in Swainsboro in our eastern corridor. So that's where it stands right now. It is definitely a warm night by standards. I mean, I do believe yesterday we were down into the 40s. Monday morning, we were even touching the low 30s to the upper 20s. So many areas having some patchy areas of frost as you did wake up, which is something we haven't seen in a couple of weeks. But something else that is really important is going to be this map. This is our best friend during the summer months, but right now you're continuing to see a very faint kind of greenish hue on this map. So dew points in the mid 50s, maybe stretching to the 60s the farther southwest that you go. And this actually does line up. These areas right here, kind of in our southwestern corridor, stretching from Upson County to Taylor County all the way down Dooley and Crisp. Those areas were outlined in that level 2 risk as of yesterday. And there is a little more moisture content available in those areas. So it does line up. The more moisture that you do have, that's where you can start to get your higher cloud tops. So the way I've been explaining it on the streams is when this frontal boundary moves through, ahead of it, it likes to lift everything that it can at the surface. What's at the surface right now? There's a little bit of moisture content. It's not the air that you can wear. It's not this dark green muggy category that you do see. And that's what we see in the summertime months. And that allows severe thunderstorms to virtually pop up out of nowhere. However, there is sufficient enough moisture content, dew points in the 60s. And what that's going to do, the front's going to arrive. It's going to lift everything at the surface. And what's at the surface? It's going to be that moisture. So all that water is going to rise up higher in the atmosphere. It's going to condense. So remember the water cycle that you learned in elementary school. It's going to start to evaporate. It's going to start to condense. And then the more water that you do have available, the higher cloud tops that you will have. Higher cloud tops are typically associated with those stronger to severe thunderstorms. But that's enough for the science lesson so far today. Now let's go to the Skycam. Let's get a real picture view. And right here, this is downtown Macon, but giving you an indication of those gradient winds that are ahead of these actual thunderstorms. They are still moving at a very good clip. Definitely have to put your hands on 10 and 2 if you are making your way out and about throughout really the entirety of today into tomorrow. Yesterday was already a windy day. It was windy on my way up here into work, and that will continue to be the case besides that brief lull period that I was talking to you about. Right after the front does pass, the winds will actually calm down a little bit, only for a few hours, but then they will build back in because the center of low pressure is really close to us, just to the north, and that's going to create the counterclockwise circulation, and we'll still have a pretty tight pressure gradient, which has been causing the gusty winds that we do see right now. So let's take it over to the fairgrounds. Let me move this camera around. Actually, no, it's at a perfect view. I was actually talking to Ben about this when I did come into work. We're going to keep a really close eye on these flags. So right now you can see a little bit of right to left motion with them, and this is generally looking north at the fairgrounds. We have a camera over at the west gate, so the right to left is going to indicate maybe blowing from the southeast to the northwest right there. That's been the general direction that we have seen these winds come from, but obviously, once again, another good depiction of how gusty those winds already are even before these thunderstorms do arrive. But now let's take the camera around to the west gate because there's some more flags over there, and if we look off into the west, we might get a good indication of possibly some of those scattered patches of lightning I was talking about. Once again, flags blowing now from left to right, and looking left, that's going to be I-75 southbound. Looking right, that's I-75 northbound. Once this front does arrive, the winds are probably going to die down a little bit, but with that heaviest band of rain, I would not doubt that we're going to see these flags kind of really rapidly jolt and start to blow straight towards the camera, and that's definitely going to shake the camera a good bit when that heavy band of rain comes through. But that's really the case in terms of seeing that drastic wind direction change. And there we go. Now that I look off in the distance long enough, you can see some of those scattered flashes of lightning. Didn't see any on my way up to work. I think it was a little bit too far away, but giving you an idea that it's just over to the west of us in western Houston County. And I think that's enough with the temperatures and the science lesson and talking about the winds. Let's go ahead and get another update on these severe thunderstorm warnings. And good timing because it is 2:44, about to be 2:45. Let's see what happens with this warning that did get issued a little bit before the one that that got issued right when we came on air. So 2:45. Will this go away? I guess the radar is running a little bit behind what our clocks are, or maybe our clocks are running a little bit ahead, one of the two. So right now you can continue to see that heavy band of rain and a couple of those scattered flashes of lightning that we did just see. They're moving just to the edge of that yellow polygon that you do see. So I imagine this won't really get an extension per se. Only thing I've seen, there's severe thunderstorm warning expired. That's one a lot farther up to the north. That's one on the northern side of the metro Atlanta area. Curious to see what's going to happen with this one. Is it 2:45 on the radar now? Yep, it is. And there you go, right there on time. That severe thunderstorm warning has been allowed to expire. And if I kind of slow this down, I want to get a good indication of what's been happening in terms of this heaviest band of rain. So you can actually see that it takes a lot more shape over recent hours. So you see 132 in the top right of this banner. And you can see that it starts to cluster together, get a little tighter together, and a more definitive line of that heavy rain as it treks into central Georgia. But still, I don't really, if I continue to zoom in, I'm not seeing too many, well, now that I move radars, I go over here to our Jeffersonville radar, you can start to see those patches of dark red, even a little bit of faint purple right there, or not purple, pink, excuse me, to the southwest of Rupert in Taylor County. So nonetheless, whether it's that pink color or that dark red color, it's still a very heavy band of rain. But as we continue to monitor this, just trying to get a good image of those patches of that dark red, because if they're very continuous, that means that line is holding together with a good amount of strength, but it continues to be very scattered in nature. And as this continues eastward, hopefully that's the trend that we do see. But now that we continue to trek it up to northern Upson County, you'll see that this warning has been trimmed back. It did go a little farther over to the west. So this warning expiring at 3 a.m. still, so I imagine they'll let this run its course. But for Henry, Lamar, Spalding, Upson counties, and maybe even a little bit farther to the north, not sure how far this extends. And this is really blending in with the radar image right there, that yellow box. So giving you an idea of the rock right over here, Gatesville, probably just to the south of this box over in Upson County. Barnesville, as you take it into Lamar County, just to the east of Zebulon. It does look like that heavier band of rain has moved past to the east of Zebulon and Pike County, and then getting on up into Spalding County and areas farther to the north, Henry County in the McDonough area. So what's immediately on the horizon? That would be, as this heavy band of rain treks into this western edge of Lamar County, going to continue to push farther to the east. However, this heavy band of rain specifically still going to have kind of the northeasterly direction, but the front itself still has heavy bands of rain down to the southwest. So we'll continue to see those enter the Monroe County corridor around Culloden in this very southwest corner of Monroe County. And then the rain is starting to pick up in Forsyth, as well as Bolingbroke, Crawford County, seeing a good shade of red and yellow kind of mixed together, a little bit of orange around Roberta, getting into Knoxville, Musella, Sandy Point, Horns. Is that Gaylord right there, just to the south of Roberta, Zenith, Fickling Mill. Going to see that very heavy band of rain, the red, the pinks start to trek farther over to the east along Highway 128, it does look like, in Crawford County. And then other areas. Let's go over here to Taylor County. So Butler now seeing the heaviest band of rain right there, a few lightning strikes scattered about within. Rupert getting the heaviest rain as well. Reynolds, pretty light, steady rain as it stands right now, but this is what's on its way in about the next 5 to 10 minutes per se. And then areas down to the southwest, seeing some steadier rain creep into western Macon County, Ideal, and then eventually making its way over to Montezuma, up into Marshallville and Macon County. Those areas just seeing some kind of steady drizzle, maybe more of a steady light shower as it stands right now. And some areas that are joining the rain party, welcoming in a few showers. Now Dooley County around Byronville, getting over into Unadilla along the I-75 corridor, Henderson, Perry. So if we actually flash it back to the Georgia National Fairgrounds, we might be able to see a few sprinkles coming down on the Skycam. A little bit hard to see since it is nighttime, but you can see maybe a little bit of a shine on that driveway over towards the west gate. So there are some light showers falling in Perry. We'll be able to see a lot better when the heavier and steadier rain does arrive. And some other areas that are starting to see that leading edge of kind of the light showers, but getting into a steadier rain. Warner Robins seeing its fair share of some light to steady showers as well. That actually gives me an idea. Yesterday we were doing some maintenance on our CGTC sky camera. And this will be a very nice tool to have as we continue doing severe weather coverage throughout the severe weather season. But right as I popped it up, you saw a flash of lightning off in the distance. You can see maybe a few faint water droplets on the sky camera lens. Other than that, it's looking all quiet on Cohen Walker Drive. Good to see that no one is out on the roads, but yet again, it's 3 a.m., so I can't imagine many of you would be. And back to the satellite and radar. We'll probably take it up here to downtown Macon because I imagine a couple sprinkles are getting ready to start here if they haven't already. It does look like steadier rain over to the west, Lizella, Lake Wildwood, Lake Tobo, and then more steady sprinkles over in Rutland and then the downtown Macon area. And some steadier rain starting to approach the North Macon area up in Arkwright Drive, Bass Road, getting over into Rivers Crossing. And now it looks like almost the entirety of Monroe County has been engulfed in some pretty steady rainfall, definitely getting into the heavier rainfall territory. But the heaviest rain still remains where the severe thunderstorm does exist. We have 9 minutes left on this warning that has been trimmed back. And we continue here in the National Weather Service chat to just see a lot of special weather statements. So that just means that the thunderstorms aren't quite as strong. They don't reach the necessary criteria for a severe thunderstorm warning. I do believe it's 56, 58 mile-an-hour winds that you have to have for a severe thunderstorm warning. You got to do a little refresher course. Haven't done this in a while throughout the winter months. But 50 mile an hour wind gusts, that's still very strong wind and can damage things like trees, and that can knock down power lines. So be very careful if you do run into any of that making your way out later on this morning. Obviously, if you run into power lines down on the roads, turn around, don't try to drive over those. The same thing with trees. Go ahead and find a different way to get where you're going during the morning hours and wait for the proper authorities to start to clean that up if any of that is to occur. But the EMA directors, they normally do a very good job within our National Weather Service chat of giving us real-time updates about damage reports that they are seeing around their specific counties. And I don't think I've seen any down here in central Georgia that have reported any damage. A lot of them have been farther up to the northern end of the state where the winds were actually a little bit gustier yesterday. And the mountains actually, they get a good amount of wind gusts. Something about the topography, and that just really makes those winds gust a lot faster. So we've seen a lot of reports of some downed trees in northern counties in the state of Georgia. Seeing a lot of Pickens County, Cherokee County, Dade County, Murray County. Don't think I see any reports here in central Georgia. So no news sometimes can be good news. All right, so now with the latest update that we're seeing, this obviously not a severe thunderstorm anymore, but still a very strong thunderstorm creeping into the western edge of Crawford County, also approaching Culloden and southwest Monroe County, and then eventually making its way out of Butler. There's still some heavy rain and some gusty winds enveloped within Butler and Taylor County, but making its way towards the eastern edge of Taylor County around the Reynolds area, and then still a good amount of substantial rainfall all over Crawford County, Monroe County, the western half of Bibb, and then it looks like maybe some scattered patches of some heavier rainfall just to the west of Fort Valley in Peach County, taking it over on I-16, or not I-16, Highway 96, excuse me. And then western Macon County starting to get some of those patches of red, the heavier rainfall, some scattered flashes of lightning off in the distance, west of Montezuma, west of Marshallville, around the ideal areas where we're looking at that currently right now. So that's still where things stand. We're going to continue to see what happens with this severe thunderstorm warning come around 5 minutes from now. But also, we want to continue to watch what is going on to our south and our southwest. And you can see that there's a little highlight on this box right here. This is the newest severe thunderstorm warning that did get issued. This one does encompass areas like Smithville, Leesburg, down into Albany, and over close to Sylvester, just to the south of Cordele and Worth County, and then Newton, a little bit south of Albany. And right now, it looks like those thunderstorms are really located around Mayhaw and Arlington, continuing their push towards the east. But this box was just issued, so you can imagine with kind of the northeasterly motion that we have associated with these storms, areas like Chris County, getting up into Dooley County, areas in our far south and southwest corridor will see those warnings extended. And we may have a brief break in the stream just so I can go ahead and revisit everything, see where things stand, and look at everything in current time. But obviously, if these warnings are to pop up in central Georgia, then we'll be on here on the stream keeping you updated with them. But the good news associated with that, you do see this red box. Once again, that's their tornado watch box where counties are outlined and there's greater confidence of conditions that could be conducive to produce tornadoes. We're not seeing that extended into central Georgia whatsoever. That remains to the southwest of us. We'll see if this does continue farther over to the east in South Georgia. However, this area was outlined in a higher risk than the rest of the state of Georgia really entirely. The level 2 kind of ended in this area, I do believe, but the level 3 existed farther to the southwest, and that's what I think was more of a tornado-driven upgrade to a level 3. But that, once again, not the case here. So still about 5 minutes. Our clock here is running about 2 minutes ahead of our radar, so. Okay. I'm just looking through the chat and everything. I do believe this one is going to expire. They're not going to continue these warnings. However, we're going to keep a close eye on what's going on to the southwest of us, where you do see those severe thunderstorm warnings holding together. And once again, we'll go to our severe thunderstorm watch that we do have outlined. The general consensus that we have seen in the National Weather Service chat is really that there is a lot of weakening going on with this line of storms rolling through. We just don't really have a conducive enough environment during the nighttime hours for this to continue to strengthen. However, areas farther over to the east on the eastern coast of the United States, they're not as lucky because these will be rolling in during those prime heating hours during the heat of the day around 3, 4, 5 o'clock. However, these are the counties that are still outlined in our severe thunderstorm watch. I imagine counties over to the west will be trimmed off of this as the heaviest line of showers and winds have moved through those areas, but still Macon County, Taylor County, Crawford, Peach, Monroe, Lamar, getting up into Pike County, Spalding, and then Upson County in our northwestern corridor, and still areas up I-75 as you make your way to Atlanta, Butts County, getting into Henry County, then DeKalb, Fulton, all of those metro Atlanta counties. So if we continue to see some counties added into this, that would obviously be more indicative that there's greater confidence of those severe thunderstorm warnings continuing through those areas. But my main area that I'm watching out is going to be this far southwestern corner, Dooley County, Wilcox County, Chris County, and even getting into areas of Houston and Pulaski. That's where I could see maybe some of those storms to the southwest of us trek into here. But again, it's kind of a play it by ear scenario. That's just kind of the general timing, or not timing, excuse me, direction that I have seen with some of the activity further to the south and the southwest of us. So coming up in about 50 seconds, actually probably about a minute and a half, given the time difference on our radar and then the clock here in the studio, this warning should expire, and then after that, I believe we will hop off. Once again, these are still strong thunderstorms. Don't think you can go venture out and about. Good thing is it's 3 a.m. Many of you are not venturing out and about. But these are still strong thunderstorms, and they do have gusty winds and some heavy rain. Not as frequent lightning as we typically do see with these, but that's also a good sign of weakening. Just continue to stay in your home and continue to keep a close eye on the radar. And if that rain really does pick up, it's only going to last maybe about 5 to 10 minutes, that heaviest band of rain. Then it will start to steady in nature. And then after the rain has passed you, we'll get that lull in winds for a couple of hours, perfect timing throughout the morning commute hours. And then we will finally pick up the winds as we go throughout this afternoon, which will be rather sunny. And then some wraparound circulation could bring some cloud cover and sprinkles as we go into the overnight hours. But I'll cover all of that on 13 WMAZ morning. But let's see what happens with this as we're now about 3, 2, 1. Not quite. My clock up here is 3 o'clock with 30 seconds, but this clock is still at 2:59. I think our clock might be running a little bit ahead, actually. And once again, this heaviest band of rain, that's what we'll talk about, the areas that are going to be next to see this, and then we'll probably hop off the stream. Actually, we'll just go ahead and do that. There you go. There goes the warning right there. Let's pause it right here. And the general motion has been easterly at about 20-ish miles an hour. So I'll kind of draw a big line all the way down to our south. And then let's go 23, because I saw one that was moving at 25 and one that was moving at 23. So these areas going to see that heavier band of rain pretty soon. 303 in Culloden, 309 in Andersonville, 320 in Forsyth up in Monroe County, 328 in Marshallville and Macon County, 335 Fort Valley, 343 Bolingbroke, 345 in Byronville, and then 355 in Byron. In areas further over to the east, you can imagine closer to the 4 o'clock hour, you'll start to feel the heaviest rain and the gustiest winds. So that's where I will leave you off with right now. Once again, if we have any more warnings pop up, we'll pop back up and we'll keep you updated with the latest updates and everything that you need to know. But thank you for tuning in, and I hope you continue to have a great night.